Hi, and welcome to the Love Learns podcast. My name is Dionne Zara, just your average girl wishing to learn more about love and relationships. As a young girl, I always dreamt about my wedding day, and to be fair, I still do sometimes. With many couples around me, I quickly came to realize love isn't as straightforward as the movies make out. So I thought I'd have conversations with couples who made it past happily ever after to learn more about love. And when I say love, I don't mean like the movies and fairy tales, but I mean LOVE, learning to be open, vulnerable, and empathetic. So if you're ready to learn, unlearn, and discover love through couples, you're in the right place. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Love Learns. This week we have Warren and Lauren, who are going to give us a bit about their love story and how they met. So let's say hi to Lauren and Warren. Hi, guys.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi. If you guys could just give us a brief, not even brief, if you can go into as much detail as you want, actually, of how you guys met and how you guys ended up married, actually.
I'll go first.
Yeah. Okay, so we met at our church in Southeast London in Catford. So I had been going to the church for a couple of years already, and then we met at Bible study, didn't we? So one of our
Very holy.
Very holy. Very holy. One of our pastors invited us to like a small group, and that was actually the first small group I've been to at church. Our church is quite big, so it's hard to kind of get to know people. Already knew quite a few people, but yeah, that was the first Bible study that I had been to, and it was a really nice vibe, just lots of different people, and that is where we met.
Yeah, I mean what she said. Yeah, pretty much it.
Yeah.
Cool. And were you initially attracted to each other when you guys met?
Yeah, definitely. It's funny because the guy, the pastor, his name's Charles. He's one of the pastors at our church, and he was running a Bible study. He actually ended up marrying us, which kind of like made it full circle, which was really nice. But I remember when when we told him that we wanted him to marry us, and then was talking to him. I don't know if you were there, but he was just like, "Oh, I'm so good. At least one of you hooked up," because he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to invite some single guys, some single women." And he was like, "Yeah, I'm hoping that they do the work." And I think it was just us, really. Yeah, I mean, there was probably about 12 people or so. And yeah, we ended up, dating and obviously got married, thanks to Charles. But yeah, of course, yeah, initial attraction was there. But I kind of saved it for afterwards. I was like, I don't want to like approach or start grafting during this 8 weeks of Bible study course. So let me save it till after and be super holy. So that's how I did it.
And pray about it.
Pray about it, obviously. Yeah.
No, I was joking.
Lauren, were you initially attracted as well, or was there like?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, of course. I think it's funny. We laugh at it now, but I was obviously really attracted to Warren when I first saw him, and I was like, I'm in the creative industry, so I was there in my like joggers and sweats, and Warren had come from work in his shirt, and I kind of was like, like really good looking guy, but put us in two different camps. But we'll explain more about how we got together maybe. But I was really attracted to him, and yeah, that was it. But we didn't, like, as Warren said, we kind of didn't really let each other know, I guess. We just, let things happen a bit more naturally.
Cool. And how did you guys like end up getting together then from just initial attraction? Because in church, it's quite difficult most of the time, I see anyway. A lot of girls like have an attraction, and you can see the guys have attraction too, but it never gets there. It's always like so like how did you guys bridge that gap?
I think I did all the work basically. So I was the bridge. I think jokes aside, me personally, I've dated outside of church, and I do agree with you in that in church it just seems as though the whole normal I don't want to be sound off, but yeah, the normal form of men approaching women, and you know, sometimes you roll the dice, sometimes you get knocked back, you know, it happens, but it just seems as though people are kind of terrified about that in church for some reason. So for me anyway, long story short, because I'm kind of rambling, but I think I jumped into your DMs, like
literally slid into the DMs.
I just jumped in. Yeah. I was just like, I found an angle and I just worked that angle.
He did. It was a mutual friend, wasn't it?
That was it. Yeah. Yeah.
We had a mutual friend on Facebook. So Warren was like, oh, hey, I know Simon. Which was cool. Because then I was like, oh, hey. And spoke to our friend. I was like, oh, this guy.
Yeah.
And but so, yeah, we kind of used that. And then, yeah, we saw each other around, didn't we? So.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it was very smooth.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But how did you guys know that you guys like, this is the one for me, this is the guy or girl that I want to be with?
I mean, that didn't happen for a while. I actually, you know how I was saying I put in quite a lot of work. Our first day, well, it didn't work out. Do you want to tell the story? So
I think you're good at telling the story.
Okay, so
I'll tell my version. Maybe he tells his version. I'll tell my
hopefully
version.
they align. Yeah. So yeah, we did some groundwork with the DMs and like talking, and then it was like, okay, yeah, so we should meet up, because yeah, personally I was just like, obviously it's nice to talk, and you're right, as you were saying, just with regard to kind of like you're at church, and if you're trying to like chat up someone of the opposite sex, you kind of like, who's watching, like, let's go in a corner, let's do us, you know what I mean? You don't want to be seen. So for me, it actually was easier to do it via DMs, but obviously we saw each other around church every week as well. And then anyway, I just kind of cut to the chase. I was like, oh, let's meet up. So we met up in like London Bridge years ago now, but after work was it an all bar one or a slug and lettuce?
Slug and lettuce.
Slug and lettuce.
In London Bridge.
So we weren't really familiar with each other. Like, we were talking, but we were yet to go on a date. So yeah, it was, I would say, like, if I could sum up the date in like, really succinctly, I'll say it was a car crash. So
he loves this. He loves to call it our car crash date.
But yeah, Lauren will say it as well. But I guess maybe she assumed that I was a certain type of person because of like the industry I was in and the work that I did. And we were from two different worlds, creative, like corporate world. And like it was a short space of time as well. It was only a couple of hours because you had to go dance afterwards as well. So she gave me about 3 hours.
I said, I've got rehearsals, so we need to meet at 6, and I've got 2 hours, so then I've got to go.
Bought 2 2-for-1 cocktails as well, but it didn't work. Anyway, go on.
I think the thing is, as he said, I had wrongly put us in 2 different camps. So I think I was open to getting to know him, but I think I was also like guarded as well from past relationships. I was pretty guarded and been single for like a few years, so I was kind of, I dated, but nothing had ever gone further than the second or the third date. And so this, for me, I was open, but I think I didn't realize at the time how guarded I was. And so it was that, and I think we got on well, we spoke, but there just wasn't that like there wasn't that connection. And I think I assumed also, oh, he probably needs a girl like this, and kind of like thought what kind of woman he needed, and thought, oh, we probably wouldn't work, and I was wrong. But yeah, we'll explain more later.
So how did you guys, if you want to go into it now, actually, how did you guys know actually that you guys like could mesh well together, and it wasn't just a car crash.
So yeah, the question was, how did we know, wasn't it? So
sorry.
we've deviated. But so we, after that date, it was really nice because it was normal around church. It wasn't awkward. He wasn't like avoiding me in the corridors. We were fine. We just spoke. We went to the pub with everyone and just were like civil, which was actually really nice. Like, I was thankful for that because I was like, oh, he actually still talks to me and it's not really awkward. And I think that also is a problem of why people don't approach each other in church sometimes, because they are afraid of that awkwardness afterwards in case it doesn't work out.
Right.
But that was a good moment. That was a good time of a few months where we were just fine and we just saw each other around. And I think I was definitely still like, I saw him around and he was there like serving and friendly and talking to people. And I was like, oh, he's a really decent guy. Like, I still like admired him. But then we just weren't talking, were we? And then it wasn't until on
like
text, romantically we weren't talking. And then it was his birthday in March. So that was the November. In the March, it was your birthday, and I just saw it was his birthday on Facebook. And I remember I was just at work and I saw it and I was like, let me just text him. So I just texted him happy birthday. And then that was when we started to talk again.
Yeah.
And I think I thought you had friend zoned me because he was like, oh yeah, he kind of brushed over the fact that we hadn't spoken in a while. And I thought that he was saying, oh, but we're cool. Like, we're cool with the thumbs up kind of. So I was like, oh, maybe he's not interested anymore. But then you were just playing it cool, weren't you? And
I think, to answer your question, I think in terms of how we knew, it was the second date, wasn't it?
It was the second date. So yeah, you explain this bit.
Well, I think because it was you who came to the understanding. So you could
well, we were texting again. We were talking. I think I was in a different place, and I had actually just moved into the area as well. So I'd moved in like round the corner from him, and I think you'd said, oh, like, let's go for drinks, I'll show you around, kind of thing. So that was like a good way in of like, oh, you've just moved around the corner. And then the second time we went out, we were local in Catford where we are now, and it was just completely different. Like, we really connected. We spoke about just like more dreams and ambitions and life and different things, and it was just completely different. It was like, the 2 dates were very completely chalk and cheese. So we kind of, from that point, I was like, oh wow, like, this is really someone. So then we were dating, and then it was literally a month later when we were like, made it official, I guess, wasn't it? Where you were like, let's date.
I was like, are you ready now? She was like, yeah, I'm ready now. So
basically.
And what do you think changed between like the November and the March for you, Lauren?
I think just being more open and like allowing a guy in, I guess, and being open to someone different. I think I had in my head someone that I thought I needed or wanted, or and when someone different came along, I was like, oh, but this isn't quite what I thought, or like maybe we wouldn't work, and just kept putting kind of like, like on paper, what do we work kind of thing. And then obviously like realizing who Warren actually was, as a human being, man of God, like so many things that I was like, wow, this guy's amazing. So that was, I think, just the realization of that, and the fact that he did pursue me. So we started talking again, and he wasn't like messing around. He just was like, okay, cool, we're talking again, and then do you want to go out? And I was like, oh. He's still, so it was that pursue, I think.
Warren, did you ever think that you were in the friend zone, or did you just not care?
I feel like after the first one, because like, again, like, like we were saying at the beginning, for me, when it came to like dating as a church, as as a man or a person in church, I don't think I necessarily put as much. Of course, you need to take it seriously, and I absolutely do, and that's why I was very intentional with Lauren. But it wasn't like a make or break, do or die thing for me. Like, I feel like a lot of people like put so much weight on it to this extent that they almost like don't take any action, or they're just so fearful. It's like, oh, that didn't work, I'm never going to date again. That like wasn't me. So to answer your question, yeah, I was like, oh, that didn't go well, so this is probably done. So, let me just carry on with my life. But when she texts back again, I was like I was happy, and I was just like, okay, well, let's try and roll the dice again, and here we are.
Yeah.
Cool. So Lauren touched a little bit on like first impression. So you had put him in like the corporate box. So what kinds of other than the corporate box, what other first impressions did you have of Warren?
Yeah, I think I could see that he was very confident and self-assured, which I liked. Obviously we're in a Bible study, so you kind of get to grips with who someone is from, how they discuss and talk about things. And I think he was someone that was very, what's the word? Intentional, but like integral with his words and how he spoke about things, and just very like self-assured. You didn't feel like, I could see that he wasn't a guy that was just trying to, I don't know, be someone that he's not, or say anything. I don't know, you're just very thought through with how you spoke about things, and I was attracted. I was like, he really knew his Bible as well, so I was like, oh, that's attractive. Like there's so many like Christians that I'd like dated or that had approached me, that I was like, but I think a lot of girls find that in church as well. They're just looking for, and yeah, anyway, we won't go into that, but just that I could see that he was fully like, had a relationship with God, and was passionate about his faith, and funny as well, obviously crack jokes, and he'd kind of like be very charming, and just friendly. And as I said, just seeing him around church as well, I guess that's further along, so that's not quite first impressions, but just seeing how he was with people.
And same question for you, Warren. What were your first impressions initially?
Yeah, I mean, like obviously, like very beautiful. And I, because she was, even like in her just, tracksuits, and like she wasn't even dressed up, but to me, I was just like, wow, like very, very pretty and very beautiful. So like visually, very pleased to the eye. But then, also just like more importantly, just the way she came across. So again, like, during a Bible study setting, you see a lot of people, because you can't really either, it's an environment where you have to discuss things, and you're going quite deep in that sense, so you get to learn about somebody's like character and what's actually inside them. So just the way she was, the way she spoke, like, just very, 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 it's everything, that the qualities that I look for, in a person. I saw her in her. So those were my first impressions. Yeah.
Very cool, very cool. And how did you guys know, like, actually this is like, when did you know this could be my forever kind of thing?
Want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, because like, proposing, that kind of is the point at which you're like, okay, so this is it. And I think, Lauren will share, when she takes her turn. But I do think personally, and I guess other people have different experiences and views on marriage, but I think for us, maybe it's fair to say that when I proposed, it was, and you said yes, obviously, it was still an element of it being in faith. It wasn't like 100%.
Yeah.
We're both here, and at this point we know that this is 100% the right person. Obviously we knew we were right for each other, but like if there were 100 boxes to tick, not all 100 weren't ticked. Not because there's anything wrong with her or with me, but I think for us it was more, there's like 75 boxes ticked, and the West will work it out as we go through marriage, kind of. I think that's kind of our story. That was it for me. But it's hard for me personally to say, this was a point at which I knew. I think for me it was more a process, and without being over spiritual, I felt led by God in it. So I felt God prompting me, well, this is the time to do it. So I can't really point to one thing, but that's just me.
Yeah. No, I am similar. I think there was like definitely moments at the beginning where I was like, okay, this is serious. Like I know we're going somewhere. And I can't remember exactly what we were talking about, but one night I was walking home from the station and we were texting, and I could just see how, like, from what he was saying, we were like talking about something quite deep. So it's a shame I can't remember it, but it was like poignant at the time because I was like, oh, he really cares about me, and he's really pursuing me, and he's really like about this, as opposed to kind of, like other experiences. And there was something really different and about Warren and about our relationships. I think early on I knew that it was definitely serious and going somewhere, and then as Warren said, it was a process. Like I think, it was in faith, and because we got engaged after a year, just under a year actually. So we kind of had this like whirlwind year of getting to know each other and dating, and also like I was working crazy hours like at a gym, and you were working out of London at points. So we were kind of like, there were a lot of factors to life that made it kind of like we just got to know each other as best we could, but we didn't know, we only knew a certain amount. So it was that faith. But I think we were always honest with each other as well. There were even moments like when we were engaged where we were like, is this like, are we, we kind of had a couple conversations like that, didn't we? Like actually Palace, a bit like, we're just trusting God in it, like, because we've come this far and he has led us this far. And, again, all the signs were there and all the like faith was there, so we just went with it.
Very cool, very cool. I think sometimes we get stuck on a feeling or something, and sometimes it is a process. It's a process of learning the other person and figuring out if this is going to gel well together and if God's going to make paths open up for you as a couple, which is amazing. So it's nice to hear that you guys had that like journey together, even in dating. Since you've been married, have you guys had any like obstacles or anything that you have come up that have like kind of, because you guys are interracial as well, so have anything along those lines kind of clashed, or like how did you guys overcome those kinds of things?
No, nothing on that front at all. Like nothing in terms of us being an interracial couple. We actually thankfully haven't experienced anything,
nothing overt,
nothing, no,
or even covert,
no.
I think especially like living in London, it's, if we were living maybe in Salisbury where Lawrence was, but even, when I've been to Salisbury, there's never been any problems. I think the worst thing I've heard, and when I say worst, is like a 2 on a scale of 10, is like, I think sometimes, I think your mum said one time she showed them a picture of us and they're like, oh, where's he from?
Right.
Like, and they kind of assumed that I wasn't from the UK. But, that's more ignorance than like racism. But
and that's not my family either. That's like family, thankfully.
In case
thankfully not not any of my immediate family, but like friends where I'm from back home is very like white middle class city. It's more and more multicultural now, but I moved to London 10 years ago, so kind of left and just visit now and love it to go and visit, but wouldn't choose to live there. And that's one of the reasons why, like, just not diverse enough. But some people are still, have that ignorance, and so that's probably
I think
the worst that we've had, isn't it?
We haven't had any racial experiences. I think though what's been good, you understand, but over the last year, obviously what happened with George Floyd last summer, and we had a big moment in this country where, like, we were very much focused on race and inequality and all of that kind of stuff. And I think more for our friends, like a lot of conversations were happening just around that, and becoming more aware of race. And I don't know, would you say we've become more aware of race? Like Lauren, like she gets it, what I mean, when it comes to race, like as a white lady, like there are some people in interracial relationships where, it could be a black man of a white woman or a black woman of a white man, and you love the other person to death, but the other person doesn't quite get the racial element, whereas that's never been an issue with me and Lauren. So I'm very grateful for that, and obviously when you have kids as well, it'll be very important because now you have a mixed race kid, but the world will classify that kid as black. That's just how our society works. So it's very important for, in those situations, the white partner to kind of understand that until that kid has a racial experience, and then it kind of hits them if they weren't aware before then. But
yeah, 100%. And it just makes us more open in conversations, and always like, so there was always those foundations there. I don't think, we've never, this is something that I've, before I met Warren, been active in learning in. So it wasn't a case of we came together and I was like, oh, what does this all
crash course in
mean?
It's never been an issue for us.
Oh, cool. That's very cool to hear. I think the more our generation like get together, in interracial couples, in just conversations with other people as well, we're seeing more and more like relaxed conversations happening with people. So it's making it easier for people to just fit in and not feel like, oh, this is going to be a bit of a issue. So with that, did you guys have any like interactions with in-laws? How was that initially when you first met parents? How was that for you guys?
Yeah, all good. Like, our parents are amazing. There's literally nothing like negative at all is there, apart from like just misunderstanding here and there, or like just understanding different communication styles maybe, but nothing in terms of us being an interracial couple. Like, there's never, I mean,
I think we're really blessed that we've got really good parents-in-law, and like I'm down the line looking forward to having kids, because we feel like our kids will be the most loved kids by their grandparents ever. They're going to be very lucky. So
definitely our parents from both sides just embraced us like completely, so that was amazing.
And wider family
all family, literally, really thankful that we've never had, it's not even crossed our minds like with our family at all.
Cool. Did you get like, how did you actually meet each other's families? How did you guys come to the point where you're like, actually it's time for the families to meet now?
When did I meet your mum? I feel like it was, so Warren's mum is only down the road in Lewisham, and my parents are about 2 hours away in Salisbury down south. So I think we went down to Salisbury for the weekend to stay. Well, we came to meet my parents in Salisbury. So I remember when we got picked up from the train station by my parents.
I remember
my mum just like gave him the biggest hug, because she'd seen pictures of him and stuff, and she just like, I do, she couldn't wait to meet you.
That was nice. And your dad gave you an embrace as well at the station. It was really nice, because on the way there we got a train, didn't we? But I just had Get Out in my head. So I was like, oh man, are they gonna like steal my brain? And I never been to Salisbury. But Lauren's parents are like the best parents-in-law. I love them. And so like she said. And then I met I don't know, I met your cousins and your uncle for the first time. I think it was, I can't remember, but an event, a family event where I met them all.
And then your mum, we went over, didn't we?
We went over to my mum's. So
I think
excited.
She cooked us a nice dinner and just couldn't wait to meet you either. That was just really warm welcome as well. So
and my dad later down, because my parents are separated, so my dad's in North London, remarried. So we drove, I think later down the line, but definitely before we were married, isn't it?
Definitely.
So it's all good.
All the love.
Did you guys meet each other's parents when you knew that you were going to get married, or did you just kind of go with the flow kind of thing?
I don't know, it was a few months in, I think. But just went with it.
Cool. Also, expectations. Did you guys have any expectations before you got married?
I think I had quite idealistic expectations of marriage, definitely. Like, I had quite a few friends get married quite young. From where I'm from, like, yeah, that tends to happen. Just like, but also just Christians and church and things like that. But so I knew a lot of married couples, but I guess, yeah, just quite idealistic expectations. I think I'd spent a long time being single, so I was like, I am this amazing person now. I've really refined myself, and I'm gonna just add all of that to marriage and just be a great wife. I think not in a arrogant way, but I was just like ready for it. And I don't think, and I think also just the kind of like idea of, I don't know what movies give you, you know, like I'm such a romantic person, so like romance and just, it's just gonna be a fairy tale every day, and we're just gonna like, I don't know, all those things that, you know, actually happen in marriage just day to day. You just don't know. You don't know. So I think, but I do think looking back now, I guess you're so ready to marry someone when you've been dating and when you've been engaged that you just can't wait to see what that's like. And so I think, yeah, I had idealistic, but also, yeah, high expectations. And yeah, I don't really know. I'm trying to remember. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, my parents weren't married, so I didn't see marriage growing up. So I didn't have like expectations. I just knew that I wanted to, like, my only expectation was like, I never want to get divorced. I just want to do it right,
Yeah.
whatever that means. So that was pretty much it. I don't think I had like this set of expectations of what I expected from Lauren.
Yeah.
I just wanted it to go well, and it is. So yeah, quite simple for me.
Cool. And Lauren, because you said you had idealistic expectations, could you give an example and what it's like related to in actual marriage and what that looks like?
Yeah, but I think what I mean by that is just that, and I think what we've realized now is that getting married was very much the start of our journey. And especially if you've decided not to live with each other before you're married, like there's just so much that you're going to learn and uncover about yourself and about the other person once you get married. And it's just been an amazing journey. And I think I've just had realized, you know, a lot of flaws in myself that you just don't know when you're single or when you're dating even, but that when you kind of live with someone, that you're like, oh wow, like there's so much that I need to work on in different areas. And but it's just been a beautiful journey of us just like, yeah, learning, like we just know each other in like obviously so much deeper way than we did when we first got married already, and that's only been not even 2 years. So, you know, just kind of, I think maybe my expectation before of like, right, when you get married it's all like done, not done, but I don't think I ever thought that. But
what would be like an example of an expectation that you had?
Oh my gosh, I can't, maybe like, I can't think on the spot.
Yeah.
Maybe like sitting down every night at the dinner table, like candlelit meal every night. I don't know, things like that. I think in my head, like it seems unrealistic now when you add like just life and work and whatever into the mix, but like just certain romantic elements maybe that I was like, oh, that will happen just like all the time. But you really do, it's like there's still that intention with, you know, marriage. And honestly, like I wouldn't change a thing. Like, you know, we're so
good.
we're so happy. But I think I just laugh at myself now because, you know, marriage is, yeah, it's everything, and it's everything that you make it to be. So what you put in is what you will get out. And things don't happen in this fairy tale way, but it is in a cheesy way, like it can be a fairy tale.
Do you know
what I mean?
Yeah.
When you've like, you know, put in that, when you're both putting in that effort to make it the best it can be. I hope that makes sense.
That's good.
It does. So what would you advise someone who's going into marriage if they had like idealistic like thoughts about marriage? What would you advise them?
Yeah, I think just know that when you get married, that's when the journey starts, and just be open to everything. Like I think Warren's expectation was healthier than mine, because he was just like, I'm ready for this. And, you know, almost like not to not have expectations, but just to be open to what it will look like, because it will always be different to what you expect, and it will be way better than what you expect in the end. But I think just being, not putting pressure on it, just, yeah, letting the beginning of your marriage be like a journey.
And Warren, do you have any like advice you could give someone who's looking to get engaged soon? What should they be thinking of or doing at this point?
I think yeah, just compromise, because I think for me, like I'm like an only child, and I've like always been like quite independent. Sorry, excuse me. So, and I've lived on my own like for you know, like a lot of people for a long while. So when we got into marriage, I was very much like, oh, I like things a certain way. So more around like my own time. So I was like very like protective and around that, and almost like uncompromising in a lot of ways. So if I wanted to like do something, and even sometimes now, like if I want to do something, I'm like, no, I'm doing it, and I've gotten a lot better at it. But yeah, it's just compromise, isn't it? So for anyone else who's looking to get engaged, it might not necessarily be time. It could be anything, because everyone's got their own things, you know. But yeah, just compromising, and it doesn't happen overnight. You've got to be willing to compromise. You've got to be willing to listen to the other person when they're saying, hey, look, you know, you're a bit aggy in this area, can you like fix up? But yeah, you got to be like yeah, humble, I guess, like humble and willing to compromise. And yeah, I say that's probably one of my main thing.
And if you were to advise someone who is just in marriage, just got into marriage now, just starting off, what would you tell them?
I'd say just be patient and not expect it all to be perfect. Like, yeah, I mean, it takes like a lifetime to build a marriage. So I think it's a lot linked to what Lauren was saying about expectations. You could come into a marriage and expect it, like, you know, we've done things right the Christian way, and you know, I've waited and we've courted in the right way, we've done everything right, and now God's going to give me this like neatly packaged perfect marriage, and we can start from day one, and it's going to be nice, and it's like opening like a new box of trainers. It's just fresh and new and perfect. Like, that's not how it works. You gotta kind of build it from the ground up from day one. So
I heard a really cool analogy once, and I can't remember who it's from, so I don't even know who to credit, but was it maybe George and Lennox, like our marriage prep, about the idea of a house, building a house.
Go on.
I can't remember, but imagine. Oh no, I'm gonna fluff up the analogy. Anyway, but the idea of like, you're building a house, so what do you need to do? You're not just gonna like plonk a house on, you know, the ground, are you? You're going to build the foundations, going to make it strong. You're going to figure out exactly like what needs to go under that house to hold it all together, and kind of like that's like where you're starting from in marriage.
Exactly.
You're kind of building the foundations, and then you're gonna start to build this house together, which might turn out way different than what you like imagine. It'll be like way more beautiful, way more this, way more like bigger. You can renovate, you can extend, you can, do you know what I mean? That whole analogy just gives you a lot to kind of think about marriage in.
Awesome. I think that's good advice. I think patience is something that everyone needs in any sort of relationship, not just marriage, but it is one that needs to be extended a lot more nowadays as well. I don't think we're very much a patient generation, but it is something that we do need to focus on. And the last question, which is kind of the question I ask all my guests, is what have you learned about being open, vulnerable, and empathetic in marriage?
Yeah, I think being open, like empathetic and vulnerable, it all helps you. Like, it can be quite alien, especially like for guys. If you're like a guy, I think women are naturally, generally speaking, find it easier to demonstrate those traits, whereas, you know, a lot of guys aren't really taught to be vulnerable, especially in culture and all of that. So yeah, like when you're open, vulnerable, and empathetic, it's kind of freeing, and you feel you feel more bonded to the other person if you can be yourself. All of the weird stuff that you do when nobody else is watching, and you can do that in front of your partner, and they don't think you're weird, and they just laugh and join in, and they think it's like endearing. And you know, when you're feeling low and scared and all that, if you can, that's really what, you know, marriage is about, being able to do that, because you don't want to carry that yourself.
Yeah.
You know, like that, you know, if you can't share that with your partner, who can you share that with?
Yeah, exactly. I agree. And I think it kind of, that is where the closeness comes from, is those vulnerable moments, and the like being like completely open with someone and vulnerable, and then understanding how putting yourself in their shoes, I think, has at times been like, it's difficult to do, isn't it? When, because we're two different people, we understand life in different ways, and we feel different things and think different things, but then as soon as you try and understand where that person's coming from, you really do, you love them even more for it, because you're like, okay, I understand you, and then you understand each other. And I think those three things are definitely like, that's the most important part. So if you can't be vulnerable and open with the person that you're closest with, and not to say that there's anything wrong if you can't, it's just, it's a good, it's good to learn to be able to do that, because that's where the bond will come, and where you'll be able to, you know, now we really do, like, without even saying, we know what kind of mood they're in, what kind of, do you know what I mean? You just know how to be the best you can for that person when you understand each other.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Thanks so much for coming on, guys. I just wanted to give you guys the opportunity to share where, like, people can find you if they wanted to reach out to you, if you have any projects going on at the moment, anything that you guys wanted to just plug.
I got YouTube, all about finance and wealth building. That's Warren Gosling, and also on Instagram, Warren Gosling. So find me there, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Send me a message.
Yes,
all that good stuff.
He's got amazing content.
Thanks,
my Instagram handle is Lauren Emily Gosling, and you can find me on there.
What do you do on there?
Oh, I do. Well, I'm a dancer, so you'll find some dancing on there, and you'll find some creative stuff. And I do have a YouTube as well, actually, Lauren Emily Gosling, I think. But if you just type in Lauren Gosling, you'll find it. And
cool. Thank you so much for coming on, guys.
Thanks for having us.